Hi, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Wendy Glenn, and I am a homeschool mom of three kids.
And I'm Jennifer Cole, homeschool mom of one right now.
And today we are going to be talking about co-ops. So, the definition of a co-op, or what is a co-op? And a co-op is a group of families that get together in the idea of teaching a group of children, their children, with all of the families working together. Right? That's a general description of
Yeah,
what a co-op is.
that's a good general description. And there's quite a few different types of co-ops. We've tried to categorize them into two different groups, one being traditional or incorporated uh, co-ops, and the other one being like a non-traditional or unincorporated co-op, which is essentially just a group of friends, right?
Yes. Yes. And so now Jennifer and we met through my group that I had started when my son told me that he missed recess, right? So we were doing our homeschooling stuff and, a day and he was not feeling it. So I asked him, what he missed about public school. And he said recess. So I started a group designed around recess. And it has grown to over 900 people in the last 4 years. And we do more than just recess, but a group of us have become very close friends, and Jennifer and and we have a little co op at my house and at a local church, and we do different subjects. We do science, we do government, and we do a writing class. And different, sometimes I teach, sometimes I don't teach. I think Jennifer's taught a little bit here and there. Some of the other moms that their kids come to it, they help teach. So we all chip in, we all pay for our own curriculums, and then which is all the same curriculum. We pay, we get together, we choose what curriculum we want. We all get whatever we need for the class, and then whatever's needed on top of that, sometimes we just take turns or we all just chip in and purchase those. So we don't actually charge. Nobody is actually making any money, and we don't charge for our co-op.
Right. When we were doing science, we would do experiments. We would take turns bringing supplies, whatever you happen to
Yes.
have in your house. We would bring them together. Um, if we have to buy any books, we would, each buy our own books. Or if it was a printout, then, we just have Wendy print it out and we pay her to do it. So we use her ink, which is a lot easier than having to buy all that stuff that she has in her house. As far as getting a co-op together, it's challenging to actually do that because people don't always show up or
They drop
rise
out,
to
people
the
get busy.
occasion. People change their homeschooling goals. But we've been lucky that we've had this really small, tight group. When I first came to the recess group, I just kind of invited myself to everything, right? So I just came in, I was like, what are you guys doing? And can I go there? And I want to do it all. Whatever it is, I want to do it. Just, let me know how much, I'll write a check, And then it turned out where we ended up doing numerous classes at different times and picking all different types of curriculums. And it's evolved from one group to another, different classes. And it's really kind of like a living and breathing entity once you get it going. Um, so whatever you think it might be when you get started, it may become something completely different a year or two
Yes.
later. Um, so that's my take on that. So
It is very strange to me to think that it has actually been that long that I have
years.
known you, for a few years now, not several years, but a couple of years now. That is crazy.
It has been several, but
Yes.
that's okay. All right.
Now, now a
Pros,
tr
you're
a
going to talk about
traditional co-op, though, yes.
traditional
Well, a
co-op.
traditional co-op. So a
Okay.
traditional co-op, just quickly, usually those are incorporated. They're usually, for the most part, some are nonprofit, some are for profit. So they are going to charge you to be a part of that group, and then they are going to charge you for your curriculum. And then you're
So
also going to have to
remember,
sometimes play, yes,
they are all a business. Even if they
yes, they are
are
all a business.
nonprofit,
Yes.
they're still a business. All right.
Yes,
Sorry,
but they're
continue.
gonna, yeah, no, no, you're good. No, they're still going to charge you though to be a part of the group. They're going to charge you for your curriculum, and they're going to charge you usually for some kind of supply list too as well. So you're going to get charged usually close to three times, and some can be extremely expensive, some can be cheaper, some are religious and have some type of religious curriculum, and some don't. It just depends on the co-op.
Now, this is where you get into kind of a sticky area though, once you start talking about money, right?
Yes.
So co-ops are kind of like dealing with the boosters, if you've ever been to a public school, right? And sometimes it's kind of a popularity contest, and sometimes it has to do with how much money you donate. So there is an occasion
Or how
sometimes,
much time, how
right,
much
or
time
time,
you donate
right?
to. Yes.
Which, if it is great people with great children doing all of this donating, that's wonderful. But sometimes it's people with problem children, or sometimes it's just problem adults and their children may be fine. And a lot of times, if they're the ones that are primary donors for these organizations, it will become an issue. And that's
Yes.
something that you'd have to deal with in a larger organized co-op. Whereas if you have a small group of friends, uh, you're generally all going to get along and agree upon things. And otherwise, you just won't do the class with them. But more likely to have a good cohesion and less drama in a smaller group.
Yes, absolutely. So we have a lot of local co-ops here in Southeast Texas. And one thing that I have found is that some of the co-ops, which parents really need to know what they're talking about, because some of the co-ops have, that I know of, have told parents mistruths. We'll say that. Um,
They
they have,
lied.
they have
She doesn't
told,
want to say lied. It's an
yes,
untruth, but it is a lie.
yes,
Maybe it's misleading, and they're just
yes,
trying to be slightly misleading to get to their goal.
yes.
Um, but McDonald's is
So
misleading too. That's why they make you pay
exactly.
first.
There's nothing at McDonald's healthy, no matter what they tell
It's all
you.
misleading. So it
Um,
happens.
yes, it does. So you as a parent do need to understand that if you decide to go to a co-op, you need to know the rules for your area or your state, right? You need to know exactly what it is that you have to teach, and make sure that a co-op is not going to lead you in the wrong direction or try and tell you that you need to take more classes. With the co-op that I know of that has been spreading some rumors that they want you to take more classes, right? So they charge you per class, so they want you to take more classes, so that's in the direction they lead you in, right? They lead you
There's,
down that path to take
yes.
more classes.
They're selling curriculum. So of course they want
Yes.
you to take more classes. You go anywhere they're selling something, they want to sell you a bigger, larger version of whatever it is you're buying. So just be mindful of the fact that this is a place that will sell you things. And sometimes it is things you do not need. So
Yes.
if you're buying what you need or what you want and you're happy with it, great. But just be mindful of what you're purchasing.
Now, a lot of parents think that when they start co-op or start homeschooling, that they have to do a co-op, right? Like, oh my gosh, I have to find a co-op. It's not necessary. Especially in Texas, it's not necessary. You don't have to do it. It's not something that's mandatory, right? Co-ops are not mandatory. You don't have to do this. You could want to do it. A lot of the co-ops in the area, most of them actually all do different things. So each co-op is different in itself in the different things that they teach. Some teach like history and drama and music. Others teach writing and Latin and geography. Some teach English, language arts, science. They all teach something different. So if you
Everything but
do,
math.
yeah, most of them, yes, some of them do teach math, but not very many of them, surprisingly. I don't know why. But most of them actually don't teach math, which is strange to me. Maybe we should just start a math co-op.
I don't know. I think, you know what I think it is? I think it's because there's so many children that are on different levels with math. It would
There,
be really
yes.
hard to find a whole group of children that are just all on the same page. And then there's pretty controversial
And then
views on
learning.
how to teach math,
Yes,
right? So
yes.
then Are you teaching math the way mom did it or the way dad did it? Or,
Or
that
the
would be,
Common Core stuff.
yeah, it would be very
Yeah.
controversial to teach math. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. But no matter what, they're not necessary. They can be helpful at times. Someone else teaching your child, right? So if you have one of those children that you just can't teach, a co-op may be for you,
Mhm.
but just make sure you do your homework and know what you're getting into and make sure, like I said, you know the rules and the laws in your state so that you can pick the co-op that's best for you and know if they're going to try and oversell you on something that you don't need.
Also, if it's a subject that you're weak in, a lot of
Yes,
times
absolutely.
there are parents who, they might excel in literature or art or whatever it is, and they can't teach math or they can't teach music or whatever it is their child wants to learn or needs to learn, and they can't teach it. And a co-op is a great opportunity to be able to do that and expose your child to a subject that you're not as strong in.
Yes. I am lucky my kids don't want to really necessarily. The only child that wants to play or ever wanted to play a musical instrument did that while they were in public school. My other kids do not want to do that, but we do have a friend who her children are actually they have picked up music so easily, but she doesn't know how to read music and she can't teach them to play two different instruments that she doesn't know how to play. So she's kind of piggybacked onto a co-op's music program because some co-ops will also let you do this. They may have a co-op, um, but they may actually let you join just for a specific thing. And some are even sports. Sports is another big thing in homeschooling. Oh, I want my kids to go to public school so that they can play sports. Well, a lot of the local co-ops here, some of them anyway, have sports teams, and you don't actually have to go to that co-op. Just like in the band part, you don't have to go to that co-op, but you can join their sports team or their band, right? So those things are always an option as well to just join whatever part you actually need instead of having to join the whole co-op.
Mhm. The other thing is that some of these co-ops are drop-offs, which are a little more
Yes.
expensive, and you can just drop your child off there. And other ones expect you not only to stay, but oftentimes to volunteer your time teaching or assisting. And that's
Yes.
something to be mindful of, what kind of time commitment that you're able to make to a group.
Yes, absolutely.
If it's your friends, then it's a lot easier to decide, right? Because I can say, I have to work, so Wendy, I'm going to need you to help with this, please. And she'll go, okay, but I need you to do this part. And I'll say, okay, I can do this on these days at this time. And we can kind of split it up. So if we have things that we need to do, we can fit in where we work together well and then also help each other have the free time we need to do other obligations. So that's nice.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. And just remember too, like co-ops can be a lot of fun. It is a way to meet people. Um, it's a way to meet, have your kids meet new children to play with or whatever, but just also be mindful that co-op is like a school. So there isn't going to be a whole lot of time to actually be able to quote unquote play or have time to really get to know another child there. They're going to have school friends
Right. Well,
in the
unless you have
co-ops.
a friend's co-op,
Yes.
a non-traditional co-op, and then we would all get together, our kids would do our school lessons, and then they would take like an hour and just run around outside and play and have fun. And they had that fun time too. Or we do experiments on some days, or baking experiments for science on some days that were fun activities too. And they learn how to work together, and it was also social, which
Yes.
probably not so
Yes.
much in an organized co-op because it's kind of like school where they have to be quiet to get through the stuff.
Yes. Yes. And you can with a smaller co-op with you and your friends, you can set up how you want it to be run. And do you want it to be run like that, kind of like kind of like we'll say strict school setting, or do you want it to be more relaxed where the kids can play afterwards or play during, depending on their age and exactly what it is they're learning and how much hands-on or hands-off stuff that you want to do as well.
Now, some of the co-ops that expect you to volunteer or teach in some fashion will also give you a discount for volunteering your
Yes.
time or teaching. So that's something to
Or
be
pay
mindful
you.
of.
or
Yes,
they'll
if
pay
you're
you.
skilled
Yes.
as a teacher, or I don't know if you need a certification, probably,
No.
maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are on that. That's
I guess it depends on which co-op, but I don't think most of them are not certified teachers
right.
because it's going on that tradition that the parents help. So it doesn't matter if you're willing to teach high school science, then that's where they'll put you. And just also remember too that the what we're calling the traditional co-ops, we'll have kids of all ages there. Where ours, we can kind of pick and choose the age group that we want to do it, and it's a one room. All the kids, what no matter what their age is, are sitting around the table and learning all at the same time versus the traditional ones or the business ones. They are going to have, a lot of them actually rent out churches and they put you in like different rooms for different subjects and different age groups. So you're going to
Mhm.
be split up, in age group, or, sometimes if it's a really small one, it might be a couple of grades in one room.
So, pros of our little co-ops. We've had a lot of really great experiences with our little co-ops, and we have pretty decent age group of kids, and a lot of the younger kids get exposed to some more mature material, and it's allowed them to advance more quickly. And then some of the older ones get a chance to help the younger kids, which kind of helps the information sink in for them because they're actually maybe teaching a little bit with their friends. Um, so the good thing is also they get to learn like teamwork and in groups. And if you're just homeschooling at home without a co-op or any friends, you do everything on your own. There's no teamwork factor. So if you're in a group, uh, your kids get to actually learn how to work together, which I felt like was a really important thing for him to learn.
Yes, I think it's important for everybody to learn that. And it's important, like, we'll say you just brought up a point. When your kids are in public school, they're thrown into a classroom with all kids just their age, right? Where, again, when you are homeschooling, you can make your kids go around people of all ages, right? Because when else in life are you just going to be thrown in a room with people just your age? Never. It's just
Mm.
in public school. So yes, it's the co-op of different ages, as long as they're close enough, like a close enough age range, like maybe third grade to eighth grade or something like that, where they can, which is a huge age range, but like Jennifer said, the older ones can help the younger ones. The younger ones may be sitting there and not really know exactly what's going on, but they're still listening and they're still getting and absorbing some of that information.
Oh, when we started the science co-op, I thought the material was pretty advanced, and it was the Good and the Beautiful science program, and that was really great. And I was like, wow, this is like pretty heavy stuff. And I went back and did an assessment of what my son learned, and I could not believe how much information he retained. I had no idea he was going to remember so much stuff. So it was very impressive. So you will be surprised at what your kids learn and absorb just by being around these lessons and hearing other people talk and hearing the teachers talk. It just sinks in, you know. The
Yes.
other thing they get to do is learn with distractions.
Yes. And there's always lots of distractions when you get more than one kid around.
So a lot of times when you're at work, you know, there's going to be distractions when you're at your job, right? Or if you're trying to do things at home, wherever you're working, there's distractions. You never just get a quiet place to sit and do everything that you want to do. And this is an opportunity for your children to also learn how to work with people around you, poking at you and touching you and talking all at the same time. And that's challenging for a lot of people to be able to concentrate with a lot of things going on the side. So this is a good opportunity for them to learn how to focus in a situation like that.
Absolutely. Yes. So I think we hit everything, did we not? I think we did.
Well, the other
No?
thing
Oh,
is that you can talk about is being able to control the curriculum.
oh, well, yes. Okay. So when you go to a traditional co-op,
Yes.
yeah, the traditional co-op, the business co-op, right? I guess that's the big co-ops, right?
Hmm.
They're going to already have their curriculum picked out. So you're going to just have to like you can shop around and see what curriculums you like and then find a co-op that fits your needs. Or again, you could start your own little co-op like we did. And then we get together as parents and go, oh, well, I've heard about this one and I saw this one and this one looks interesting, or I've looked at this one and this one's supposed to be the best, or whatever. And then you guys can get together and pick it versus, oh, well, we have one co op in our area. So I just have to go to this one and have to use this curriculum, right? There are lots of different curriculums, there's lots of different co ops most of the time in some areas, at least in our area, we have. It seems like there's a new one popping up almost every day or every week. I can't keep up with all of them. But again, they all use different curriculums. So you can shop around, or like I said, if you start your own, you can absolutely pick your own and you don't have to. We've had times where we've gotten done with one curriculum and switched to something else. I mean, you can that's the beauty of having just a small one with just the parents dealing with it. I mean, or you can do a a, a curriculum and not really like it, right? Just like when you're doing regular school and not really like it, and you could go, well, wait a minute, we thought this one was going to work, it's not, so
Mm.
let's switch it up and do something else,
Or
right? We
we've
can do
started
that too.
curriculums that like
This
we thought we could probably finish, and then we found out it would probably take 10 years to do all
Yeah,
of it. Like,
if not
no,
longer.
this is not a this is a career path. This is not like a class.
Yes,
So the great thing is though is that you can really choose, and you can choose who your children are hanging out with. You can choose who they spend time with. You can choose your friends. You can choose the curriculum and the way that they're taught. If you want something that's faith-based, you can have it. If you want something that's not secular, you can have it. Whatever you want, you can choose that. You have so much more control than if you're going to
yes,
another co-op or to a public school. You get to pick. You get to pick who your friends are. You get to pick who your kids are surrounded with, and you're not just stuck with whatever the area gives you.
yes. And that's another thing too. Sometimes, really do need to make sure you know your co-ops before you spend all that money, because some of them can be, $1,000 or more. And we have had a friend of ours that her daughter got hurt in a co-op, and the co-op, she basically left the co-op because the co-op wasn't going to do anything about the bullying. And I mean, it just depends on which parent, I guess, is going to do more for the co-op, whether or not your child can stay or not.
And you run
So I
into
mean,
the same problems as you run
yeah,
in any sort of organized public school situation. There is
exactly.
bullying, there is
Yes,
favoritism, that sort of thing could happen. It may
yes,
not always happen. You may find a great co-op out there, but we just want to make sure that you know that these things can happen.
absolutely. So you always have to really be mindful about those things and see if they'll, make sure they're telling you the truth, make sure you know your rules and laws, and, maybe even ask some other parents that have gone to that co-op, if they like it or not, and if they've ever seen, you know, people leave abruptly that they didn't understand why. Because sometimes the co-ops aren't going to go, oh, well, this person left because their child was getting beaten up or something
They're
like
not going to
that.
tell you that.
They're going to
No.
spin it for themselves. But hey, has anybody left abruptly that you didn't know why, or certain questions to ask. Just make sure you can ask the right questions for all the red flags.
Yes. Do your research.
Yes,
But besides that, go crazy. Try a co-op.
exactly.
Do some homeschooling at home and some co-op. I mean, I think that's the best way is a little bit of mixing and matching everything so your children get exposure to all different styles of teaching. So
Absolutely.
I think we've touched on everything
I think
now.
we have. So don't forget to share, subscribe, like,
Hit the
and
bell.
all the things. Yes. And we
All
will
right.
see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.